What's up, Nitro Nation? Muggy Maniac here. Got the issue address. Hopefully, won't know until we actually run to see if this servo that I fixed took any internal damage. I won't know until I actually start running it. We're gonna see if we can get a decent tune on it. Get her, I like to warm it up a little bit with the my head warmer, for the simple fact that way I don't have to wait for it to get warmed up. I get it up to about at least 150, run it for a little bit, get it up to around, you want to get it to temperature, if you know anything about tuning, which is 180 to 200 before you actually start putting any kind of tune on it. Otherwise you're wasting your time. So we're gonna get this thing running. We got the R5 Team Edition Reds modified by the man himself, Rick at RB Mods, and we got the Mugen MBX oldie but goodie out here. We're gonna throw the red rocket, I call it, body on it. We're gonna wrap it, see if we don't have any issues, if we can get somewhat, like I said, of a decent tune on it. We're gonna put these tires, not too long ago had them come loose. I didn't use the right glue, rookie mistake. You want to use medium glue, not thick, not thin. Thin takes forever to glue, and thick will glue too quick. Medium is what you want to use, so I didn't use that and they came loose. Remember, when you're running modifieds, man, your tires are so important that you keep them on the rims and don't blow them off. I have threw this thing with stock motors on it just because I didn't, glue them right and beat them right and everything. So we're going to see what we can do, see if we can get a little session going on here. It's a, decent day out here in sunny Southern California. It's a little chilly, but I'm sure a hell of a lot warmer. This is probably frickin' summer to you guys back east. So, shout out to you guys that are out there, bearing the elements back east, that you can't run any shit for whatever the reason being. Hopefully it's not just because you're lazy or you don't want to clean your shit, or, hopefully it's just you don't have the time. Even if it's snowing, or even if there's snow outside, hopefully you have enough desire to run your shit to clear a path and at least fire that shit up and I don't care, throw some spikes in your tires, do donuts, something. Unless it's 20 below, then I don't know, I've never ran in that weather. Thank God I live in Southern California. There's no place like home, like Dorothy would say. So welcome all, newbies, middies, oldie but goodies. But anyway, enough of my talking. Talk's cheap, proof's in the pudding. So let's see if we can get this Reds ripping and fire this baby up. So here we go. Okay, gotta set the idle. Hold on a second, people. Hold on. Sorry about that. Just like an Italian motor, baby. Fires right up. Once you have the idle set, which I had it set a little too low on my controller, ready to rip. Uh-oh, a little flip action. Well, that answers my question. So here we have it. True test when you run it. Here, let me steer it. Watch. Yeah. Either something's wrong with the gears, because I remember I took this thing, the servo completely apart. Something either wrong with the gears, because it's responding, but it's not turning right. So I might have damaged from, you know, it overheating extremely. I mean, it didn't catch on fire, but the wires smoked pretty good. But motor's running well. Obviously the problem is the steering servo. I think that steering servo is shot, so. He sounds healthy though. See if I can lean her out a little bit. Remember, when you're steering servo, when you're having issues with either servo, it'll affect the other one, so it's even affecting the throttle on it too. Oh yeah, she's a screamer, man. She is screaming, definitely. Purrs like a kitten, man. Dude, shame that servo's fucking toast. you're idle, it should settle down right away. Shouldn't take more than 10 seconds after you let off. And then you want to clear it out. My brakes are a little too tight. Hold on 1 second. Well, sorry we couldn't get more actual wrapping, but anyway. About 162. Run a little bit fuel through her. Technical difficulties here, people. She's still only about 180. Not even warm, really. I think my idle's okay. That's the high note. Whoop. A little too low. The idle. Yeah. Shouldn't really mess with the idle. Idle's fine. Alright. But anyway. She's running good. Not perfect. I still get a little bit of the, that little tiny, when I really snap the trigger. Keep in mind, I have a extremely large Venturi on there. The original Venturi on these are a 7mm on the reds. Rick suggested an 8 to an 8.5. I haven't got an actual 8 or 8.5, so what I did is I milled this one out. I'm running probably about a 9, maybe a little bit bigger, 9mm. So I think that might be too much for this motor. You know, I'm just experimenting. I never ran, you know, I know most people run 7mm on .21s. 7.5 what they most guys run, even people that race, professional racers. I mean, they use 7mm, maybe 7.5, maybe 8. Rick suggested, because this is modified, to run about an 8 to an 8.5. I just said, what the hell? Let me try a 9mm, which is a little bit big. So I might just go back down, because I run an 8mm on my my Pico. Or no, a 9mm on the Pico. It came with different ones. and I run a 9 on my, you know, the obviously the bigger motors. But a .21, I ran it on an 8mm on the OS, and it was fine. I just wanted to experiment with this. But that's why I think you're getting a little bit of that slight hesitation. It doesn't really bite right off the first. When you really just snap the throttle, it wants to hesitate just a tad. I mean, I know I'm almost positive it's not the low tuning needle, the low tuning needle, because that's pretty much adjusted. I've done the pinch test and all that, and the idle seems to settle down. It's not, you're not getting that Chewbacca sound, that weird looking tangy sound when you let off the throttle, as you guys can hear. Everything sounds fine. It's just when I really let it idle all the way down and I just really pull it hard, the trigger, it wants to have like a split second hesitation. And I think it's because when I pull it hard, it's opening all the way up. Because it's a 9mm on a .21. It's probably a little bit too much. So I'm gonna mess with that, and I'm gonna probably put a and because I ran it, as you guys can see, for a minute before I realized the steering is like done. I mean, here, you guys can hear that. Those of you professionals out there, as far as electronics, I'm not the professional electronic guy, you know, although, you know, of lately I think I'm becoming one, because I'm having these servo issues and shit. And the last thing I need to do is be flooring this thing wide open and I can't steer it, or you lose steering, or something locks up and you get a runaway. And I've had that happen a couple times in my short 4-year career of nitro, and it ain't a good thing, man. This thing got away from me because I was using the 4-pack AA battery before I, you know, finally decided to, you know, grow up, so to speak, in nitro and say, why am I messing with this rookie shit 4 batteries? And one of the AA batteries, because I didn't tape them in or snug them in, I was wrapping this thing. This was a long time ago. And when I first got this thing, and one of the batteries came loose, and if you know, when your receiver battery dies or comes loose or whatever, even if you have a failsafe, your throttle will lock up. And my shit, this thing took off. It went straight into a wall, and doing about probably 45, 50 miles an hour, and there's nothing you can do. And it's the most gut sickening, disgusting, I want to throw up type feeling in your stomach when you see your whip, you know, especially if you have a nice whip, get away from you and just run straight into a brick wall. And I'm very fortunate I didn't do any major damage to this thing. This thing held up. That's why I can tell you personally, as speaking for this MBX5, one of the toughest buggies, and that goes for Mugen too. Mugens are tough son of a bitches, okay? This thing, like I said, head on, 50 miles an hour at least, brick wall, straight dead center. It exploded. I mean, as far as the body flew off, the fuel filter flew off, I mean, the air filter flew off, and all I did is I bent the lower hinge pin carriers mounts in the bottom of the diff case. I bent both of them back. I'm surprised it didn't snap. One of them was the ones that come on this Mugen's aluminum in the front. It bent it. And the plastic one, it bent it. It didn't snap them, and it didn't bend any hinge pins. I mean, I have titanium hinge pins. Obviously, they're not going to bend. But if it wasn't for this carbon fiber, it's not graphite. This carbon fiber brace, top plate, if I didn't have this, because you could probably still see it, there's a little tiny notch where the aluminum chassis stiffener, front chassis stiffener, pushed into it. If it wasn't for this thing, it would have shoved. Because what could happen is it'll shove, if you have a dead hit from the front, if you don't have any, that's why it's important, man. Just in case something happens, if you don't have a aluminum chassis brace and you don't have this carbon fiber or graphite at least, still graphite this is carbon fiber stronger than graphite, okay? I don't know how, to the technicality of which is actually stronger, but as far as I know, carbon fiber is stronger than graphite. But anyway, if it wasn't for having these two things, it would have pushed my drive shaft, because I could see where it did. It would have pushed it all the way into the diff, and what it will do is just destroy your whole center diff your towers, your everything, man. You'll wreck the whole center of your freaking whip. So because I had these stiffeners and this top carbon fiber deal, it did do very minimum damage. But still, I mean, 50 miles an hour runaway straight into not a bush, not a you know, a brick wall, man. And this thing held up. So, man, that tells you that this thing is one tough SOB. So anyway, enough of my, you know, electronic-ology, which I don't have a lot of. Yeah, this servo is, you tell me what's wrong with it. It might be just the gearing that I might have maybe not put something back right, but to me, I mean, it was working fine until I just started running it a little bit, and then immediately after I just started, as you guys seen on the video, when I ran over there, it was, the steering was like done. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if I'm really going to mess around with this. I'm really, you know, I might, just for the hell of it, so I can gain the experience, see if I can fix this servo. If not, man, I got new sav boxes on the way. So I would rather not try to rebuild servos and rewire. And I mean, I just wanted to see if I can rewire this one. But it might have been caused to something in the electronics when it, you know, literally caught on fire. I mean, it didn't catch on fire, but it you know, fried the wires, so I'm sure that affected the servo. But anyway, Reds is running good. You know, it's a shame I can't run it. I have other servos anyway. I mean, I'm getting new ones, but I have other servos I can throw in it. I just wanted to see where this one was at. Obviously, for now, this one is, you know, I don't want to try to put, you know, Jimmy'd and Mickey'd and you know, refurbish servos in something like this and take the chance of it, you know, something happening and doing more damage or anything else. So it's not the smart thing to do. I've learned already. So so anyway, yeah, just that hesitation. You guys can hear that. I mean, I know people are going to see this video. You guys make your comments. You know, I mean, I'm not the expert. You seen it is what it is. That's why I keep my videos. I don't edit shit. You seen them 100. I could edit everything and just show you, oh, it runs great, and oh man, it's cool, thumbs up, and in the backdrop, you know, off camera, whatever. Oh shit, everything. Man, I just like to keep my shit real. You know what I mean? Because, you know, for me, you know, not to accept help or ideas from people, like I said, would be putting a limit to what I can learn in this, and I don't know everything, man. So yeah, but other than that, I mean, I think the motor is running well. This RB modded .21 Reds, man, if I can get a full hour or so of just running tank after tank in it, man, this thing just wants to scream with this Pico at the top of its lungs. I mean, it was, till the steering went out, this thing rips, man, and it was ripping yesterday too before my servo caught on fire. So anyway, I'm having a fire sale for anybody that's interested. I got boneyard of servos, man. I'm gonna just, for shits and giggles, you know, see if I can salvage some of them that I have. If not, I'm just gonna toss them. And you know, I think it's better, unless you really are an expert and have the time, which I really don't. If your servo jacks up, especially if you burn one up, it starts going out, it starts, you know, doing kind of odd shit, don't chance it. I mean, I would never run this type of servo, because if that servo was doing that on my throttle, man, I would, that's when you get runaway shit, and that's when you get shit locking up and your shit just taking off, and wherever it stops is your guess is as good as mine, you know. So anyway, that's all I got, people. Muggy Maniac's out. Let me get back to the drawing board. We're going to pull that servo out anyway and just see what the hell's wrong with it, for shits and giggles. I'm going to throw some new sav boxes. I'm kind of looking around. You know, I don't want to spend too much money on servos. I mean, you know, because I'm not racing right now, so I'm not investing any money in anything high-end, really, because I'm not racing. But servos are important, and I know there are servos, and I have a bunch of them. You know, I'm just going to stick with my Savox. This Savox here is a different one that I was trying to, and unfortunately it was doing well until I made a stupid mistake not checking the wiring and cost me a servo. But I mean, I didn't spend a ton of money on it. But I have other Savoxes that I run in my other vehicles that I've never had problems with. The Muggy has just always been the guinea pig, man. I don't know, it's just this and the XTM are my guinea pigs, because you know, it's old school. I didn't invest a lot into it, although I put a lot of time and effort into it. When it comes to my Techno, Truggy and my Mugen MBX7 Truggy. Those are the ones that I don't do any really testing in, because I don't want those, excuse my language, fucking up and me doing some damage to those, because I have parts for them, but I don't have as much as I do for the XTM and the Mugen MBX5 buggy. I have more parts for these two vehicles than my other ones. I mean, the Techno I got a lot because it's what it came with, but you know, when you get into the newer stuff like the MBX7 and the Technos, the parts aren't cheap, man. They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. Easy to find, easy to get, but they're pricey. That's the price you pay, though, when you're going high quality, when you're going next level, when you're going into platforms that are the creme de la creme. You're going to pay the price. So I'd rather pay the price in dollars, not in ignorant mistakes. I like to learn from my mistakes. So anyway, like I said, I'm out of here. Bring to you what I could. So basically, this is a video for everybody to throw their input in. That you know, and keep in mind, I'm only gonna take advice from people that I know, and I know they know what they're doing because I've been on their channels. And if you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know what you're talking about, and you can't prove, you know, basically by your resume, then you don't expect me to take your comments or your advice to heart. But there is a few of you out there, so looking forward to you guys checking out my video and letting me know what you guys think, and you know, we'll go from here. It's all about trial and error, as I said. And hey man, I'm ready to get back in the Nitro Cave and do some more wrenching. So other than that, at least it's only a servo issue, it's not other shit, so it's not a hard fix. Motor's running great, platforms are forming well, have no other issues. These tires, ooh, listen to that. Hear that when I turn it? Watch. Yeah, that servo might be toast. So anyway, I'll leave you guys with that little yeah, that's not my motor. Yeah, see? My servo's doing some brapping. See? That's when your servo braps. It's trying to keep up with the reds. Anyway, that's Muggy Maniac. I'm out. Peace, people.